the most?
Talking with Terrell online radio.
Playing anything and everything. From music to talk and everything in between.
Cake farts.
Broadcasting from the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains in Lynchburg, Virginia, this is Talking with Terrell, more specifically the Talking with Terrell Halloween Special. Tonight, we'll be listening to some awesome music, reading some creepy posts from online, including news stories, paranormal stories people have shared online, and anything and everything else. So stay tuned, we'll be with you for a couple of hours, and turn out the lights if you're not too scared. Well, I hope you guys' Halloween has been going well. It's about 11 p.m. here on the East Coast. Halloween's about to end here, but for most of the United States, still got a few hours left. So I'll be keeping you entertained while you eat your candy. Lucky you. Listen to this article I found today that just it's too funny not to share, and it's just the definition of ironic. To stop the violence, organizers allegedly beat one of their colleagues so severely that he vomited blood and was left unconscious in critical condition. Nicolo Ardino and Emmanuel Velez, both 30, accused their former roommate of stealing their property and allegedly punched and kicked him in the street until he had seizures. Arrested moments later, Ardino was still wearing the same Stop the Violence t-shirt she had on the night before when she coordinated a march protesting two recent shootings. It sounds like something right out of a fucking movie. I don't know. It's just, I find it really funny. And if you're not laughing, you clearly have no sense of humor. I'm surprised more people don't do this. Listen to this. A man who vanished during an NFL game in Denver last week, only to be found safe days later, told police afterward that he had had his fill of football and had wanted to go somewhere warmer, authorities said on Wednesday. According to this news article, he was found in Pueblo, Colorado, about 115 miles south of Denver. You know, I'm surprised more people don't do this. You know, it surprises me that we're just now seeing things like this happen. Or at least make the national news. But you know what? Finally, somebody did it. That's all I gotta say. Well, it looks like somebody finally posted about my brother on the internet, judging by this title. Abduction nutcase from the grocery store. Yep, that's what the title reads. And the person posts something that describes my brother almost to a T. Well aware that this story may seem far-fetched, but I swear on my life it's true. I'll try not to make this too long. Little bit of background. I went to college in a small town in Mississippi. Worked at a grocery store where we had some very strange local characters come in daily. No one was too weird except this one guy. I had been working there maybe 3 months when this guy walks in, stomping his feet with every step, grabs a basket, and speeds his way around the store. Me being the people watcher that I am, I just said, "What the fuck is this guy's deal?" and kept watching him. I was a cashier there, and he decided that he needed to check out in my line. I thought it was a little weird because of the rest of the cashiers there, that they were all attractive college girls. I'm a dude. I tried to make small talk with him, and he explained to me that he had been held captive in the woods in the Carolinas for the past 70 days or something like that, with the government running experiments on him. Obviously an immediate red flag. With this guy's appearance, tall, overweight guy with a bushy beard, long hair, and sunglasses, and what he was telling me, I needed him to just leave. After ringing him up and him paying, he went to stand at the entrance where he just stared outside at his rate van. Then he pulled up in. Pacing back and forth and huffing loudly, after doing this for maybe 5 minutes, he walked out, hopped in the van, and drove off. Thinking I'd never have to deal with that again, I sighed and laughed it off. A couple more months went by, and he came back, and so it went. He'd be gone a few weeks to months and return once and leave again. He'd always come to me and me only and tell me these crazy stories of how he was abducted and had to hide in the woods and Smoky Mountains. About how he was abducted and this and that, he even went so far as to explain to me what the inside of the spaceship looked like. You're probably wondering why I never called the cops. Well, I'm a skeptical person for one, and two, I thought it was extremely interesting. He wasn't causing anyone harm, and I got a kick out of it. Until one day he came in acting extra sporadic and extra paranoid. A pregnant woman was standing next to him on one of the aisles and turned to make small talk. He attacked the woman and punched her repeatedly in the stomach. He was shouting, "You're harboring one of them, and it'll kill you if you don't kill it." Some extremely psychotic behavior. A few of the near men, including myself, jumped in and subdued the guy until the police came. By the time they got there, he had calmed down to his normal self and left with them. He told the police he didn't have an identity because it was erased by the government. I told them all of the accounts I had with the guy. No one ever knew of anything to come from it. Another year and a half went by probably of me working there and never saw the guy again. Hopefully he's long gone and locked up. Well, I don't know how to react to that. But, we all have things that we're dealing with. And God damn it, we're all fucking crazy. All fucking nut jobs. Every single one of us. Hell, look at the government. Now we're moving on to Paranormal Post shirt online. Let me tell you, this is some freaky shit. It really is. And no better night to do it than on Halloween. The first post reads, "My boys are now 6 and 5 and are 2 days shy of a year apart. When they were about 1 to 2, they would often stop what they were doing and just stare at the corner of a room, usually their room. Sometimes they would even walk over there and just stare up at the corner where it meets the ceiling. When we asked what they were looking at, they would say, 'Katie. She was my only sibling and died in a car accident in '94 at the age of 12. I have no pictures of her in the house, and I rarely mentioned her. They were able to describe her 12-year-old image to a T. It wasn't scary, and they seemed to enjoy her visits. Over time, they would even announce that Katie was here. It got to a point that my ex-wife and I would tell them to let her know we said hello. Like many other stories like this, they lost their ability to see her by age 3 or 4. In fact, when we would ask them about Katie, they would have no clue who we were talking about. This is a common story, it seems, but I completely believe she often visited and still might. My new wife and I have a baby on the way, and I'm really looking forward to once again interacting with my sister through her. Very interesting story, and the power of a child. The reason they have this ability, or seem to have this ability at a younger age, is because kids are built with an innocence. They don't have a judgment system. They haven't been around for 15, 20 years that have had people all around them telling them it's from the devil, it's demons, and it's all that shit. And in some cases, not in this case, but in some cases, yeah, it might be demons. I don't completely discount that, but you scare the shit out of kids who may have gifts I'm going to get a lot of flack from saying this, but that are from God to be able to talk to spirits of deceased relatives, maybe bring closure if you didn't have it. I don't know. I'm not a fucking scholar in this, but we spend so much time scaring the shit out of our kids, telling them speaking to ghosts or spirits is a demonic thing. We shouldn't do it. And you shouldn't just jump into it. I'm not saying you should just pull up a Ouija board and play with it. That's a whole different discussion for a different time. But, stuff like this makes me just kind of shake my head at how religion's treated talking to spirits just in general. I mean, you should always use caution, but I'm saying as far as the innocence of a child, it's, it's because of what society has done. Believe me. I mean, but even before, I don't know, you can blame it on the U.S. government or what have you, but it's always been there. Since any form of ruling has been in place, they never liked any form of what they consider mysticism. And it has been fucked up. Well, we hope you will stay tuned. Tonight we'll be broadcasting for another hour or so, be reading some more paranormal posts, and playing some more awesome music tonight. Especially on this Halloween night, the Halloween Special of Talking with Terrell. So this is the second time we've done this, and I love doing these episodes. I love Halloween. It's the best goddamn day of the year. And if you're not celebrating, then I don't know why you're listening to this show. You have better have had some fun before listening to this show, or at least planned on to watch a horror movie. If not, you better click off the show and go watch a horror movie right now. I'm not even joking. Somebody poses a very interesting question that has plagued me for the longest goddamn time. Can paranormal investigations cause mental damage? This person continues on. So a little background on me. I have been a paranormal investigator for most of my life, you could say. When I was a child, around 7 or 8, I saw something in my house that, needless to say, scared me quite a lot. However, as with many of these things, no one would believe me when I told them, and instead of understanding, I was basically called a liar and ignored. Now, not being one to spend the rest of my life in fear of the things I saw and being raised on stories of people slaying wolves, dragons, vampires, and the like, I figured the best thing I could do was attack the apparitions when they appeared. So I armed myself with a knife from the kitchen under my pillow, and every time I saw it after that, I would attack it, and it would vanish before I got close. After I started doing this, though, I noticed I saw the thing less and less, and it took it as I had scared it off. Around this time, I started to experience sleep paralysis. I would wake and find I was completely unable to move, and I would see if it stood over me. I would see it stood over me. This went on for months until one night I found if I concentrated, I was able to break the paralysis through sheer force of will. After that, I never saw the apparition again, though I did experience the sleep paralysis from time to time, but it became easy to break free each time. Moving forward during that time, I had started reading a lot of books and studying the paranormal. By the time I was 14 or 15, I had begun going to local graveyards and abandoned houses armed with my camera, and taking photos and doing investigations. Now moving to my main point. After doing this for years, I've noticed some things, and I would be very interested to know if anyone else has experienced this or any advice for me, or has any advice for me. I have seen so many things that most people say can't exist. I've seen shadows walk through empty rooms. I've seen objects move and even lift off the ground and fly across a room as if they have been thrown. I have heard voices speak my name and whisper secrets when I was alone, and I've even heard someone leave when what would appear to be claw marks across my body. After experiencing all of this in a world where I'm looked upon as a crazy person, if I tell people what I've seen, where so many people tell me my Photoshop skills suck, when I've shown them genuine photos from investigations. It has took a deeper toll on me than I realized. Until recently, I hadn't realized how serious the issues are. I don't sleep much, and even though I'm in my mid-30s now, I can't sleep at all without the light on and some music playing. I can't stand to look in mirrors for too long, and I am always looking on the corner of my eye for anything around. I recently moved in with my girlfriend, and it was only while explaining to her my quirks, as it were, that I realized how badly damaged I am. And explaining to someone else that I don't feel safe in a locked, empty house because I've seen too many things, or saying things that walls, doors, and even locks meant nothing to, is not an easy thing when they don't believe in anything. But this is what I want to know. Has anyone else had paranormal investigations affect their day-to-day lives? And if so, how have you dealt with these issues? That is an awesome question, an awesome post, and even though I haven't really investigated paranormally, I've had things happen that I can't explain, and if I try to explain right now, I sound like a babbling idiot, but you can't explain it, nobody will believe you, or they think you're crazy, because I've had experiences, and I've told my family, and, they'll laugh at me, thinking I was half joking. Did you take, cold medicine? Did you eat a lot of sugar? That kind of thing. Because I would see things at night, or most of the things I've seen would happen at night or when I was just waking up. So it's very hard to say, and it could have been a lot of those things. I don't know, but that's the first thing they go to, something material. And it's not even in the back of the minds that it's something spiritual. Only in a sarcastic way is it. And, in a sense, I really used to be like that. I used to kind of be like, it's probably nothing. But that was mainly out of fear. It wasn't because I really didn't believe. It was mainly out of fear because I knew things were real. I had seen them. I mean, not definite enough to where I could draw a picture, but definite enough to where I felt that I saw it and I knew it can be explained by, the pipes or what have you. And it's really discouraging. Well, not that nobody believes you, but that they write it off so quickly. I mean, they don't even take time to even research it enough to argue or debate it in a logical sense with me. Without cherry picking a Bible verse that doesn't have anything to do with it. And it's like you can hold a view, but don't be so quick to hold that view without even doing your research. That's my thing. But the point of the matter is, yes, you can have, in my opinion, you can have it can affect you mentally. Just seeing paranormal things, and offer for many people, even if you aren't investigating it. If you're in a haunted house or a place that's haunted by spirits in any form, it can affect you mentally. It can make you very aggressive. I mean, look at the Amityville horror. I think Amityville, I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but that movie was based on a book which was based on a real story, supposedly. I'm not going to argue with you because only the people who experienced it supposedly know the truth about that. But take that, for instance, even just humor me. Let's say that's real. And things like that, for instance, that's a perfect example. Well, I hope you stay tuned. We'll be broadcasting for about 50 minutes, and we playing some more awesome music, sharing more paranormal, or discussing more paranormal posts, and hopefully you left your skepticism at the door, because tonight's Halloween, and you might not want to let your scientist friends listen in tonight, or your Baptist friends.
I saw a Filipino cab driver cut out a cancer with a rusty butter knife.
Listen to this post. When I was around 5 years old, I was running around playing in my living room. My mom noticed that I had gone a bit quiet and came in to see what was going on. I was standing by our front window, staring out into the fields near where I lived. She asked what I was looking at, and I turned around and said, "I died over there." I repeated this a few times and then went back to playing. Anyway, my mom thought nothing of it until she went to the local pub a few days later. She mentioned it to some of her friends who were there, and who then informed her that a girl had died in the area where I was pointing around 5 years ago. She had been shot in a hunting accident. It also turns out that this happened the week I was born, and possible the very day I first came home. My mom told me this a while back, and a few family members say they remember it too, and it was pretty creepy. What I've only recently realized is that many of my dreams are from the perspective of a child, and when I wake up, I get the distinct feeling it wasn't me in the dream. It's hard to explain, but it just doesn't feel like me. Also, when I was a child, I became quite interested with girly things, like the color pink, long hair, makeup, dresses, etc. This phase started abruptly and stopped almost as quickly. When I was a kid, I told my mom I died in a field, and it turns out a girl did. Okay, they were adding some emphasis to some things, but that is very scary, and I don't have any judgments about that. I'm not that you just judge, but I don't have any logical conclusion for that. And we can't always argue things in a logical. We can't always draw things to a logical conclusion. And some things I don't think we're meant to. That's not to say that we shouldn't try, but we shouldn't say, oh, since we can't come to a logical conclusion, it's just not there. That's not how the world works, in my opinion. Or that's not how the universe works, in my opinion. But again, that's my opinion. It is truly interesting, and nobody really understands the universe. Faith plays a bigger role than logic. Keep that in mind before you start debating with me. My experience with the King of Hell, freaky coincidence, a person writes. About a year or so ago, I dropped acid. It was pretty strong, to say the least. I was where I am now as I am typing this. Looking up at the mirror, I could sense a presence. I could see into its world, a rocky hellscape full of these twisted, cloaked beings, floating above hills of little flames, like grass, but afire. In the distance, there was what looked like a castle or some sort of building blending into the background. The windows were burnt out. I saw this twisted monster. He was grotesque, yet he had power over these cloaked beings. They looked like the things from the movie Sinister. Everything was different here. The dimensions, the physics, the way things moved, all of it. This thing was in the cave. Or in this cave. It made its way out of the cave, twisting and shaking violently as he moved. I could hear music as he came to me. For the record, this was long before I got into the occult. I knew virtually nothing of it. Suddenly, I was staring into the mirror. I knew it was there. It was like electricity in the air. I knew it. I knew I had been to that place before. I can't describe its voice. The best way would be to say that it was roaring. Like the sound itself was burning. It said, I am Asmodeus. I knew it was an evil being, but I was not afraid. It was familiar to me for whatever reason. While coming down, I googled the name, and after misspelling it a bunch of times, holy fucking shit. It looked exactly like this, not at first, but it kind of twisted into as it came closer to me. He is said to be a demon of lust and a king of hell. I had never heard that name or anything about him before this. I was amazed by this. A couple months later, after getting into the occult more, I decided to calculate my name in the gematria. My name came to be 636 in Hebrew, 111 in simple, and 666 in English. The weird thing is, first match that showed up was the word lustful. Maybe coincidence, but I doubt it. It was just the demon of lust. Very interesting, and it it is. I don't recommend taking recreational drugs to see these things, but it is amazing the power the mind has and the connection we actually have with the spirit world. We are not our physical body, we are our spirits. And well, that's a whole different discussion for a different time, but I completely believe this dude saw something. What he believed he saw, I believed he saw. And, you know, it doesn't matter how you got there, you got there. I'm not advocating you take recreational drugs, but you got there. You're going to end up wherever. What you saw, you were going to end up seeing one day anyway. It's just a matter of taking the route you did to get there and getting there. I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's kind of all over the place, but if more people tapped into their spirit, this world would be a different place. There would be no skepticism. What we know as reality would not. It would be very different. All these judgmental people, their minds would be fucking blown. I mean, everybody's mind is blown, but especially the people that were condemning and arrogant. And I mean, I'll go into a discussion about this at a different time, a different place, but yes, it is very real. Here's a story that'll make you shit your pants. This person writes, at a very early age, maybe 3 or 4, I told my mother I chose her and that I already knew how her life would turn out. This spooked her because she's not religious, neither am I. And apparently I knew names of people she knew 20 years before. At age 9, we were traveling to the Walmart that was 10 miles away at night. Suddenly, I started screaming that we were going to die and started crying really loud. Turns out we were on the wrong side of the road for a good 4 miles on the pitch black road and would have likely wrecked if I didn't make them pay attention. Getting goosebumps yet? Continuing on. Just a few months after the car incident, my friends and I were playing in some woods. The little wooded area was thick with blackberry bushes, so there was only one way in and out without hurting yourself. We were doing what kids do, destroying stuff without care. After spending a few hours hammering nails into random trees and hacking at the bushes with a machete, a man came out of the bushes. A man came out of the bushes. Yes, I read that right, folks. He was tall and white. He had a brown shirt and brown pants on. He was clean and didn't appear homeless. He told us to stop damaging nature and that trees shouldn't be abused. Boy, those tree huggers seem to come out of nowhere, don't they? Normally, I wouldn't even remember an event like this, but the feelings he gave off were very strange. Felt like he was there, but really far away. Anyways, after telling us to respect nature, he turned around and walked through the bushes. He didn't seem to mind the thorns and didn't struggle to get through. He just kind of melted through the bushes. Being young, and I can see why I can't explain it in vivid detail. My grandmother told me I met a nature guardian. I'm going to let that one sink in for a minute. But she was really involved in paranormal stuff back then. I'm not sure that I classify these as paranormal, but these memories have certainly stuck with me from my adult life as something I cannot explain. I've never had a hallucination, auditory or visual, but I do have frequent deja vu as if I've seen things that are currently happen already. Yes, that's one thing I experience quite often too, deja vu. It happens a lot of times when I'm watching movies like that I know I've never seen before. Sometimes the creepiest experiences are movies that have just come out or video games or whatever that have just come out. I felt like I've seen it somewhere before. And like it wasn't shown at E3 or at preview. It wasn't part of a preview or whatever. And that's the creepy ones. I've seen, I had deja vu experiences with other things as well quite often. Like, I've seen people before that I know I've never met in my life. And, talk to them, and apparently they have never met me either. So, yes, I experienced deja vu quite a bit. Could be just coincidence. And I've seen things before that I thought was deja vu, and I saw in a home video that it happened when I was 8 or 10, being at a place or what have you. That has happened before, too. Kind of deja vu where you have a memory. Like, that's not deja vu, but where you have a memory vaguely of being somewhere, but you can't remember why. I guess that's deja vu in general. I experienced deja vu a lot. Feeling like I've been here before, I've seen this person before, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, it could be chalked up to a logical conclusion, but who the fuck knows? Greatest mystery of all time is deja vu. But history always repeats itself, I guess. I don't know. I'm really tired, and everything's kind of starting to run together. We'll be broadcasting for another 15 minutes, and then I'll end the show, and we'll share a couple more paranormal posts and be listening to a few more songs, and hopefully I won't pass out on that time. I've got really dizzy. I think my sugar has dropped. My diet has not been well this week. I'm energetic, but I'm dizzy, I'm in a very weird place, but I'll hang in there for about 15 more minutes with you guys, as I've promised. Damn it, I shouldn't have had all that fucking candy. I feel like shit now. But luckily I can still read, I can still see. Just barely. I'm gonna try to read his last paranormal post tonight. For some years, I've had these weird things going on. It started when I was younger, like 10 or 11. I was in my old bedroom trying to fall asleep in the dark. My door was slightly open, and in the dark, I see the silhouette of a person. Yes, a damn person. Perfect shape. It immediately feels like my throat just tightens. I try to call out for my parents, but I can get nothing but a croak out. I manage to get the light turned on, and there's nothing. When I turn it off, there's nothing still. I slowly start shaking it off and acting like it was just a dream. Except it wasn't. Some years later, when I was about 16 to 17, I noticed something odd about a picture I had taken a couple of years earlier, where I was standing in my old bedroom where the other thing happened. It was a picture where I was standing at the door, just a normal teenage picture. Nothing odd about it. But then I noticed something about the light on the door. It's shaped as a person. Again, I sent the picture to a friend, and he's like, "What the fuck?" as well. About a year later, again, there's weird sounds coming in my bedroom. I'm just lying awake in bed, trying to fall asleep. Suddenly it feels like something is walking towards me on my bed. Like the sheets are getting pressed down. I could feel the weight of something as well, that feeling. I get scared shitless. I turn on the lights quickly, but there's nothing. I write to my girlfriend at the time. She convinces me to try to get some sleep, and I decide to not go anywhere near my bedroom, and to sleep on the couch in the upstairs bedroom. While I am laying in the bedroom, there's some moonlight coming through the gap in the window curtains. I start staring at the moonlight on the wall, and it looks like there's a grasping hand. I get the ominous feeling of being watched again, and I quickly turn on the lights, and just sit there staring at the spot for an hour or more. I choose to go downstairs to try and cool off. While I'm going down the stairs and get to the entrance of the house, I get a serious feeling of someone standing right behind me, but as usual, there's nothing. I even turn on the lights to outside just to check if there should be someone walking out there, but nothing. I start walking down towards the living room, and it's like something is just trolling me. Weird sounds like something or someone is hitting someone with a finger, or hitting something with a finger, rather. Right when I get down into the living room, there comes like this high pling sound from an iron copper can we have standing on a shelf, and that does it. I decide to wake up my parents and talk about them with all this shit, and I can't hold in my tears because I'm scared shitless and can't withstand the pressure anymore. Now, a couple of days ago, I was sitting at my laptop in the dark with a bit of moonlight on the wall. Then a shadow goes over it, and I get the feeling of being watched again. I don't even dare turn on the lights, just glancing out of the dark sometimes. The next day, I am laying in the dark again. The same thing happens with the shadow, same feeling. Well, that's very creepy, and I think we've all had experiences such as that where we see things. Not diminishing the validity of what this guy said. But we hope you enjoyed the show tonight, and in the second Halloween special from Talking with Terrell, hopefully I will be able to do many more, and hopefully you guys will keep listening to the show. But for tonight, that's it. If you are just joining us, I will be replaying the show in a few minutes. So there's that for you. Hopefully you guys will have a nice weekend while I get over this candy hangover. Good night, everybody.
Know what I like the most?
Talking with Terrell Online Radio.
Playing anything and everything. From music to talk and everything in between.
Cake fart.